I think there's some cool news as of right now when it comes to ICP. And what is that? Not too long ago, it was announced that ICP is now integrated with Aeon. And I'm talking about Aeon Pay. Now, if you're wondering how it's spelled Aeon. But even besides that, through this, right, this is what really excites me, by the way. Quite essentially, again, allegedly, they're tapping into a network of over 20 million merchants in Southeast Asia. And the basic gist of it is that they're planning to expand to other regions too, moving forward. So I kind of find this very exciting because the way I take a look at it is that even though some people out there, they may be thinking, oh, their computer isn't really doing much and all this type of stuff, take a look at what they're doing actually. They're still kind of doing things, if that makes sense. Not to mention, the payments market currently is valued at over $2 trillion. So let's just let that sink in. That's bigger than, a lot of countries' GDP. And I think that is something very impressive because when we think about the internet computer, at least originally, when I was, believing in it for the first time, it was kind of like this project that was showcasing how it's focused on, decentralizing the internet and all this type of stuff. And there was nothing wrong with that. But then, in my opinion, no one is really wanting to kind of like enter into this space to believe in projects like that, if that makes sense. Because I've heard people, want to go into this space for AI, right? For blockchain gaming, for NFTs, whatever the case may be. But I rarely, if ever, have heard someone say, hey, you know what? I'm going to believe in projects that are focused on decentralizing the internet. Nah, I never really heard that. So then when I take a look at something like the internet computer, I like their shift because they're doing stuff like this. We take a look at, kind of the hype surrounding of what caffeine AI could hypothetically bring for its future. And of course, caffeine AI, I talked about in one of my previous videos. I think this could also be a big narrative for ICP hypothetically moving forward because it allegedly is the world's first ever self-writing apps platform. So I think that is pretty interesting. I mean, again, if I kind of believe in the future of this space, if I believe that, hey, you know what, maybe there's going to be more applications that are going to pop up moving forward, could they maybe require caffeine AI for assistance? Who knows? But then, in my opinion, at least I like the direction. There's no way for me to really evaluate caffeine AI though, because I want to see it kind of like 100% fully fifth gear type of, action before I can really kind of evaluate it. But then it still has a ways to go in my opinion. I'll have to wait and see when it comes to that, but I still like the idea of what that could maybe bring for the future of the internet computer. Not to mention, when we take a look at the internet computer focused on decentralized AI, I mean, the AI market is predicted to be worth nearly $2 trillion according to Grandview Research by 2030. So the internet computer, I think beyond, kind of just the hype about it and, people saying, oh, it's listed in a lot of good exchange and all this type of stuff. Beyond that, it's actually doing something, right? Other projects out there, sure, exchange listings are decent. Sure, the community is pretty good. But then what is the project really doing? It doesn't feel like they're trying to do anything really. And of course, it's going to depend on the nature of the project because if it's like a meme coin or whatnot, then necessarily they don't really need to be doing like, I would assume in theory, like these type of things, right? But then when I take a look at some utility-driven projects out there, even though they say that, hey, we're driven through utility and all this, they're not really doing anything. So I like this when it comes to the internet computer. And just think about this, right? Through this, I would arguably say kind of like integration, being able to tap into a network of over 20 million merchants, that is very impressive. Because when we think about, let's say they're in a computer, it's not like it is an extremely massive project in a sense that it is pretty big, but then it's not like BNB, like Solana or like Ethereum, type of, I would say, like attention, right? And it's already doing stuff like this. So moving forward, I really do believe that, man, the internet computer could maybe hypothetically be regarded as one of like the top maybe projects because even though it is pretty big as of right now, when people think about like this space, right, they don't think about the internet computer usually from what I see. People think about, of course, Bitcoin, they think about Ethereum, but then beyond that, people usually think about BNB, Solana, XRP and whatnot, of course, other projects, but they don't really think about, hey, internet computer. Don't really hear much of that. So then I, of course, want to believe in projects before they really take off. It's not like I entered ICP in the beginning because I didn't, but then the way I take a look at it is that even as of right now, I still think it is a little bit like kind of in the middle stage of the internet computer in terms of its hypothetical size, but then I don't mind because I still think that when something is this amazing, how can I not believe in what maybe the future could bring, because think about this, right? When Solana, when BNB was kind of this size, when Ethereum, I feel like the stuff they weren't doing maybe weren't arguably as kind of interesting, I would say, as they're in a computer. So the fact that it's doing this as of right now and not waiting until like the market cap is extremely massive, this kind of says something. It kind of shows that the project actually cares and that they actually, I think about the future, at least in my perspective. But even beyond that, let's say ICP, even though nothing I say is financial advice, let's say in theory, maybe were to go to the price of $100. That's around a 20x from here. We got to think about how, considering current circulating supply, market cap at that point is around $53.5 billion. So I don't know why that might not be viewed as like too outlandish, because take a look at BNB reaching over $100 billion in market cap, and that was back in 2021. And we got to think about this, right? The Internet Computer not too long ago allegedly, had an integration with Solana. That's very amazing in my opinion too. Again, Solana, one of the top layer 1 blockchains out there. That market cap really wouldn't surprise me, because even BNB again over doubled that basically, give or take, back in 2021. In terms of market cap, again, around, $53.5 billion. BNB reached over $100 billion back then in terms of market cap. So I just kind of view this as something that might not seem too outlandish. But again, only time will tell, but I can't tell the future. The only thing I can do is just really wait for altcoins to maybe pick up, and I'll just dollar cost average into my favorite projects, and literally that's it. Beyond that, I can't control anything else. And again, just focus on the projects that I do believe in and just stay patient, because for me, it's kind of like a patience game, because I am not like, trying to day trade and all this type of stuff. That's not my style. My style is literally, some of my friends out there say it's boring, but you know what it is, right? I just dollar cost average hold and I just wait. That's it. I'm not going to try to, do this, do that. No, I treat this more like a long game, right? It's not like a short-term thing for me. I mean, again, the markets, they're not going to pay attention to what I have to do. They don't care. Like if I pull up a price chart, draw some random lines, draw some random triangles, the market's not going to care. I cannot demand things to go up. I can't demand that. There's only one thing I can do, and that's just control myself. And that is just, again, dollar cost averaging. Literally, that's it. I'm not telling anyone to buy ICP, by the way. This is just kind of what I take a look at when it comes to the computer. But I just kind of like the direction in which it's heading, because other projects out there, it feels like the team is kind of treating it like a part-time thing. And maybe it is a part-time thing, but then I just kind of don't really like that type of vibe. I like it if more so the project treats it seriously. And the Internet Computer, it feels like it's being taken seriously. It feels like it's not being treated as like, just some random thing that, oh yeah, if it does, okay, fine. If it doesn't, who cares? It doesn't feel like that to me. So then, yes, I still do believe in the quote-unquote like more fun projects, like, for instance, blockchain gaming and whatnot. But then I still also want to believe in projects like this, because I think it has to be, at least hypothetically, one of my foundational pieces. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I would greatly appreciate it. It's only the captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.